Hi there, and welcome back to Grammar with Kelsey. Today we're taking a look at comparative and superlative adjectives. So let's get started. Right. So here we have two dogs. We have this one and this one. So what can we say about these two dogs? This one is big, this one is small, this one looks kind of happy, this one maybe looks sad, this one has spots, this one is brown, right? So we can talk about them alone and their traits alone. But how do we talk about both of them in the same trait, maybe their size, right? We would say something like this one is bigger, this one is smaller, right? This one is happier, this one is sadder, right? So what are the patterns for this? So we use comparative to compare two things or two states of being. Right? So here are our two eggs. This one is bigger, smaller, more spotted, whiter, right? To compare the same trait for two items. Okay. We use superlative for three or more things, or three or more states of being. So here we have 6 cell phones, right? Definitely more than 3. Maybe this one has the best camera, right? The biggest screen, the most amazing sound system, right? So to compare 3 or more items. So there are patterns to make this easier. One of the things you can look for is, do you have a word that is one syllable and ends in an E? So, blue, ding, 1 syllable. Yellow, dang dang, 2 syllables. Orange, dang dang, 2 syllables. Red, dang, 1 syllable, right? So blue, brave, safe, cute, large, sane, sore, right? These are all 1 syllable and they all end in E. So the pattern for our 1 syllable E enders is to add R for the comparative. So nice becomes nicer. 1 syllable becomes ding ding, 2 syllables. Wide, wider. Captain America is braver than Thor because he goes into danger without superpowers. And last night I came home later than usual, right? So for all of these 1 syllable ends in E, for comparative, we're going to add R. What about the superlative when we compare more than one thing? Okay. We add EST. So nice becomes nicest, wide becomes widest. He is the rudest person I have ever met, right? So here, we're comparing Captain America and Thor, 2 things. We're comparing last night to other night, right? And we're putting them in 2 categories, last night and other nights. Here, we're comparing one rude person to all of the other people I have ever met, which is a lot. This is supposed to be the safest car on the market. Here, we're comparing this car to all of the other cars on the market, right? Right. What about if you have 1 syllable, but it doesn't end in a vowel? It's a consonant, vowel, consonant. So consonant, vowel, consonant, wet. Consonant, vowel, consonant, fit, hip, fat, thin, big, hot. What do we do with these? Okay. So for the comparative, we're going to add E. We're going to double that last consonant and again add ER. Okay. Hot, hotter. Wet, wetter. This March is hotter than last year. We're comparing this March to last year's March. 2 things. I wonder if April will be wetter than May. We're comparing April and May. 2 things. This is a thing between American English and British English. In American English, when we say this, we might say hotter, and that sound sounds more like a D. Okay, so hotter, wetter, butter, right? When we get that double T. Whereas in British English, you're more likely to pronounce both T's, so hotter, wetter, butter. What about the superlative? Same as last time, we're going to double that last consonant, and then here's our EST again, right? So we'll see this ER, R pattern, and this EST, ST pattern for all of our comparative and superlatives, right? So hot becomes hottest, wet becomes wettest. Here are some example sentences. April is usually the wettest month. So here, April was being compared to previous April. Here, it's being compared to January, February, March, May, June, all of the other months. Okay. What about our two-syllable words that end in Y? What does Y do? Words like angry, easy, early, busy, dirty, friendly, bloody. These are very common. We have a lot of them, and we use them all of the time. So, how do we make this fit? What is the pattern for these words? Okay, so for comparative, our Y turns into I, and again, here's our ER. So happy, happier, sorry, sorrier. I was happier when we went to Everland. So here we're comparing how we were before and how we were after, two states of being. She was sorrier than her brother for stealing the, go away little thing, for stealing the pie, right? She was sorrier than her brother for stealing the pie. So we're comparing her feeling and her brother's feeling, two things. What about the superlative? Again, that Y turns into I, and here's our EST again. So again, that pattern is going to keep popping up, ER, EST. Happy, happiest. Sorry, sorriest. I'm happiest when I'm home reading my book and drinking a cup of tea. Right? So this says, this time is my favorite. It is the best one. Me at home is better than me in the shower, me walking to school, me in class, me at a restaurant, right? All of the other times in my life, this is the best. Okay. Now, what about our longer words? Words like annoying, dangerous, expensive, exciting, beautiful, boring, popular, useful, complicated, famous, interesting, and difficult, right? What do we do with them? So instead of changing the word, we're just going to add more or less. So expensive, more expensive. Beautiful, less beautiful. So here, the word doesn't change. We get this comparative from the more and the less. My dinner was more expensive than hers, right? And Berlin is less beautiful than Paris. So we're comparing her dinner and my dinner, and then Berlin and Paris, two things. And then for the superlative, the same thing. We don't change the word. We add the words most and least, right? Here's our ST again. Sneaky ST. So most expensive and least beautiful. Okay. I bought the most expensive drink on the menu, right? So my drink compared to all of the teas and all of the coffees and all of the frappuccino things, mine was the most expensive. Okay. That was the least exciting class I have ever been to. I am comparing that class to all of the other classes I have ever taken in elementary school, middle school, high school, in my whole life, right? So definitely more than three. Okay. Now, of course, it's English, so we have irregular words, words that don't fit our patterns. And these are actually some very, very common ones, words like bad, good, little. So our first one is good. You might know these. I'm going to give you a second to try and think of what the comparative and superlative form of good. What are the comparative and superlative forms of good? So for good, we have good, better, and best. And here again, we see that ER and ST. But it's not good, gooder, goodest, better, best. What about for bad? For bad, we have bad, worse, worst. Right? Far, further, furthest. Right? From where we are, Onyang is nearer than Cheonan. So Cheonan is further than Onyang, and I don't know what's at the other end of this line. Seoul is furthest, right? What about little? So little, we use less and least. A lot, I have a lot of candy. I have more candy than Ben. I have the most candy in my whole class, right? So this, when we get to those longer words, this is where your superlative and your comparative sit. We use this word, right? More beautiful, least beautiful, right? To show this relationship. And the last one, old. And this one does actually follow the pattern pretty consistently. We have older and oldest. We also have elder and eldest, but we don't use it that often anymore, right? So these are good to memorize. You probably already know them, but just as a quick review. All right. Well, that's all for today. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in class. Bye.